What if a single brick building held the secret to an entire city's long, stubborn fight for freedom? This is Cherry Street African Methodist Episcopal Church in Dothan, Alabama. Today, it stands as a classic red brick landmark, rooted deep in its neighborhood. But if its walls could speak, they'd whisper a story much older, a story about hope in the ashes of Reconstruction, quiet defiance in the face of Jim Crow, and an entire community daring to build its own future. Because the truth is this: the story of Dothan and the story of the Deep South isn't always written in protest banners or front-page headlines. Sometimes it hides right in plain sight, in a donated slice of earth, a wooden chapel held together with faith, and a new generation of hands carrying bricks, one by one, toward a dream. Cherry Street AME's history isn't what you expect, and it all begins with a gift no bigger than a patch of ground, a gift that changed everything. Our story starts in 1877, just 12 years after the Civil War. In a wounded Alabama still navigating Reconstruction, newly freed Black families in Dothan carved out a small place where they could finally breathe. A Black landowner donated a plot of land, and on it rose a humble wooden structure known as Gaines Chapel, the congregation's earliest home. Its first pastor, Reverend Pryor, helped organize what was originally called the Colored Methodist Episcopal Church. But this small chapel was far more than a Sunday sanctuary. In a world where public spaces for Black citizens were often dangerous or off limits, the church became everything: a schoolhouse, a meeting hall, a refuge, a place to strategize, organize, and survive. Even the AME denomination itself was born from protests. Founded in 1816 in Philadelphia by Richard Allen, it emerged when Black Methodist congregants were forced to their knees in more ways than one. They built their own church, a denomination grounded in the sacred idea that all people are equal, and no pew in America could say otherwise. That same defiant DNA flowed straight into Dothan's earliest chapel. As the 19th century faded, the Dothan congregation outgrew its wooden walls. They needed a structure as strong and enduring as their faith. Enter Reverend William Jefferson Hightower. Around 1903, Hightower and his congregation raised $8,000, an astonishing amount for a Black community in the early 20th century. They planned a new brick sanctuary. But when Hightower walked into Dothan's only brickyard, the owner refused to sell to him. No explanation, just the cold, familiar wall of Jim Crow. The congregation refused to bow. They secured bricks through the railroad instead, shipped into Dothan from outside the city. But transporting them publicly risked backlash. So the people devised a plan that feels almost mythical today. The legend immortalized on a mural downtown. Every Sunday, the children carried bricks, one each. Adults did the same. Brick by brick, week after week, a quiet procession wound its way toward what would become Cherry Street AME Church. By 1908, the new church stood finished, a red brick testament to faith, resilience, and community power. If hidden histories like this resonate with you, subscribe and stick around. TMP loves lifting these untold stories into the light, one backroad at a time. Throughout the early and mid-20th century, Cherry Street AME grew into the beating heart of Black life in Dothan. Many called it the Mother Church, not officially the oldest AME church in Alabama, but the oldest in the region and the spiritual anchor for AME expansion in the Wiregrass. The world surrounding it, however, grew more hostile. Jim Crow dug in deep. The old Greyhound bus station on North Foster Street, now the George Washington Carver Interpretive Museum, displayed the brutal architecture of segregation: separate waiting rooms, segregated entrances, humiliation built into the blueprint. Black churches became command centers for survival and resistance. They were the only institutions fully controlled by Black communities, the only places large groups could gather without immediate white interference. Sermons became strategy. Choir lofts became community classrooms. Fellowship halls became rally points. And Cherry Street AME played that role for Dothan, cultivating the courage of its people long before the world knew their names. One of the clearest legacies of Cherry Street AME can be traced through the life of Bishop Isaiah Hamilton Bonner. Early in his ministry, Bonner served right here at Cherry Street. Decades later, during the height of the Civil Rights Movement, he became the presiding bishop over all AME churches in Alabama. In 1965, when the state issued an injunction attempting to stop Black churches from holding mass meetings, a direct strike against the Selma movement, some pastors understandably hesitated, but not Bishop Bonner. Witnesses recall him telling the pastor of Brown Chapel AME Church, the nerve center of the Selma marches, "Ain't no white man going to tell me who can use that church. That church was built by Black folk for Black folk. Now you open those doors." Those doors opened. Strategies were finalized, and history walked across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. It's easy to see where Bonner learned that unbreakable backbone, from a church in Dothan built literally brick by brick in defiance. Church historian Cheryl Whiting and musician Francina Morales speak of Cherry Street AME as the incubator of countless local heroes. Morales recalls her own mother traveling to Selma, a journey of courage that began right in these very pews. Cherry Street didn't host the marches. It raised the marchers. Today, Cherry Street AME Church still stands proudly on its namesake street. The old Hammond organ pipes still rest inside, silent witnesses to more than a century of songs, sermons, and struggle. Its story is a reminder that history isn't only made in the spotlight. Sometimes it's forged by children carrying bricks, by pastors refusing to yield, by communities who decide they are worthy of dignity long before the law agrees. The secret history of Cherry Street AME Church isn't just the story of a building. It's the story of a foundation of faith becoming a foundation for freedom. What overlooked landmarks shaped your hometown? Drop them in the comments. Key and Dusty love hearing about the places history tries to hide. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories where past and present meet on the backroads. Until next time, get out there and explore the world your way.